And we are live for the Week 8 NFL slate. A big old 13 gamer, tons of games to cover, tons of afternoon games. So, talk a bit about late swap, but a lot of games, little time. Let's jump into it. Blaine, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Hoping for a repeat of last week. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what
No
the
kidding,
cards,
man.
what cards we have in the table.
100K winner Chan. You don't get those every day.
No, not every day. It would be nice though if you had them every day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's weird that quarterback, running back, wide receiver one stack I started playing more and more of, and especially in the smaller contests, I think it's a really good way to capture like a ton of offensive production, and it's like not as utilized as I think it should be. So
Yeah.
I think there's some good
It
spots for
makes
that
a lot
this
of
week.
sense.
Yeah, we'll talk about those. You want to go by total?
Yeah, that works.
So this week's kind of weird. We do have 13 games, but none of them really stand out as far as high scoring, tight spread games. A lot of them are going to be around this high 40s total that we're going to talk about. And starting us off, we got the Packers at Jaguars. Pull up my notes for that game.
Yeah. That's the highest total on the board, huh?
Highest
Just goes to
total.
show.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Packers passing game. Jaguars defense has been terrible. I get it.
Yeah, I mean that's the core issue here, I guess. So like every week with the Packers, their offense is pretty spread out. Jags do run a bit of man coverage, higher than league rates, so the roles are sort of inversed as far as that goes. Where normally you'd see Jaden Reed get a ton of targets, and I'm sure he still will this game, but that it makes some of the secondary and tertiary options on the Packers more exciting. I think, like between Wicks, Dobbs, and Christian Watson, they do have better stats against man than they do against zone. So, I mean, like every week with Jordan Love, it's play him with some people, and hope you got the right people. You know.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, not much more to say. This Packers are a great team for the same kind of strategy and smaller field of quarterback, running back, one receiver. You just got to be right about the receiver. But you know who the running back and the quarterback are going to be.
Packers are coming in with the third highest PROE in the league, going against the Jags defense that is just draining yards. I mean, you can throw on them all day. So I love the Jordan Love side of it. Their defense has been actually really, really good this year. I kind of expect them to shut down the Jags pretty healthy. It depends on the status of some of the players here, but I'm not sure if ETN will be playing or if he's limited. I haven't checked their injury report, but behind him it's Tank Bigsby and Dearness Johnson, who we've seen some spark from, but they're going to be playing from behind, and I'm not sure how much work they're going to be getting on the ground. Receiving is another spot you can look at them for. But if I'm playing love stacks, I'm not forcing a Jaguar bring back. I think like Evan Ingram's kind of interesting if you're going to game stack it.
Yeah, worth noting that Jags are 32nd in EPA per play against the pass. They're above average against the run, but pass is definitely their weakness. And so if the Packers are going to score a bunch of points here, which they're projected to, you got to figure it's going to go through Love. And Josh Jacobs, by the way, Scott Hansen has been pointing this out for weeks now, that finally his first receiving touchdown. He's the longest stretch of catches without a touchdown in NFL history to start a career. It's amazing. Like, it's been 7 years he's been in the league, and finally a receiving touchdown for him. So congrats to Josh Jacobs for that. And if he's going to do that more often, he's definitely viable to play in a stack with Jordan Love.
Yeah, I like that. Some more stats on the Packers. They actually have more interceptions than touchdowns allowed on the season, so it's going to be a tough matchup for Trevor Lawrence. Evan Ingram, I think, is like their primary target here on the offense. He gets a lot of first read looks, and his snap share, his targets per route run, I think is highest on the team by like a good amount. So I'm not forcing anything here on the Jag side if I'm playing love stacks. There's just a scenario where the Packers win by a couple scores, and come third, fourth quarter, Matt LaFleur just doesn't want to pass the ball anymore.
Yeah. Worth noting that there's nobody in this game projected. I guess Josh Jacobs gets there. Nobody in this game projected over 10% ownership. Just goes to show like how scattered this Packers offense is. I guess I didn't see Evan Ingram, so now I got to take back everything I said. No, I'm just kidding. There's no real chalk in this game, is generally what I'm saying, which is surprising considering it's the highest total. But goes to show how spread out this slate is and how spread out this Packers offense is. Like nobody really wants to take a stand here on anybody on this Packers receiving game, and with reason. But it's worth noting that like you're being the highest projected offense here.
Yeah, that does give me more doubles too thin. No, I don't think so at all.
I don't think so at the Packers.
No. It does give me interest on guys like Dobbs, Wicks, and Watson when they're coming at like 2% ownership, and then Wicks and Watson are under 1. The thing I will note is that if you are playing Packer stacks, I would not play Wicks and Watson in the same lineup just because they split snaps. So negative correlation in the Sims. If you're running Optos, I definitely set a max 1 group on Wicks and Watson, but Love plus Dobbs, Kraft, any of these players, even Love with the running back because they're going to be playing from ahead for the most part, and I kind of expect them to control the game, and Matt LaFleur will eventually just start running the ball and controlling time of possession.
Yep. Agreed.
Okie dokie. Let's take a look at our next game on the board with a game total exactly the same as the Packers and the Jags. Well, 1 point less. I was looking at the wrong column. Love Dobbs, Ingram.
Makes a lot of sense.
Great stuff.
Ingram. I mean, I guess Dobbs is low owned. And I was going to say Ingram maybe in smaller field might get a little more ownership, but with Dobbs it's probably fine. But
we're gonna have some tight end chalk this week on FanDuel. Dalton Kincaid on FanDuel is 4,000 with no knocks. So I mean he's going to be smashed on FanDuel. So. And there's a lot of payout options at tight end. I think tight end's a lot more interesting this week than it was in weeks past, just due to some injuries, pricing, and then also we have like elite tight ends that can actually break a slate up top that you're gonna have to pay up to get, but are also coming in super low owned.
Yeah.
Eagles, Bengals. Kind of a weird season for both of these teams, in my opinion.
That's an understatement.
Eagles are finally kind of getting back into rhythm now that everybody's back. Like without A.J. Brown, the Eagles offense can't move the ball down the field and they weren't scoring at all. But with him back, I think it opens up a lot of offensive scoring for them. And it also gives like Saquon some room to breathe. He's got a massive workload, but if it's just him on the team, the Eagles struggle to move the ball down the field when teams can stack the box and know that you're not going to throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it just opens up everything for that. I mean, we saw last week against the Giants, I think it was a 4th and 2 they had, and they just threw a deep ball to A.J. Brown for a touchdown. It just opens everything up when he's healthy.
Definitely keeps the defense on the toes, and the Bengals are near last in the league in pressure generated on the quarterback, so Hurts is going to have more time in the pocket to make throws. So that sets up really well for offensive scoring. And then the Bengals this season, they've been weird in the sense that when they win games, they win by a pretty big margin and the totals aren't very high. But when they play close games and they lose by a score or a field goal, the totals get up to like the 50s and high 60s. So if the game plays for the spread, like we project it to, and there's obvious weapons on both sides of the ball, this could be sort of an area where the game shoots out and you want to game stack it.
Yeah, the tough thing at the game stack is just it's really hard to make it all fit because, I mean, even on DraftKings, T. Higgins, I have projected in right now, but it seems like he's trending towards out. He's still 6,500. Chase is 8,500. It's like if you stack Eagles, for example, and you go Hurts Brown, it's almost impossible to fit Chase. I mean, unless you're playing like double tight end or something. So
yeah,
it's a game I want to stack, but it's hard to make stacks I feel good about. You know?
Yeah, and Bengals are still pretty high up in PROE, so they're gonna be throwing the ball a lot, and they're tight spread. Expect him to be throwing, but as far as their run game goes in the backfield, I think Chase Brown has taken over sort of the majority of snaps, like not a huge majority, but over 50% of the snaps from Zach Moss. So that could be a spot where you want to game stack and save salary. You come back with Chase Brown and hope he gets a bit of passing work and that he maybe breaks one off against the Eagles' run defense, which hasn't been as good as it has been in the past few years.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are 4th. Their pass rates are extremely high, but they're still 4th in EPA per play on offense, dropbacks, and they're below average in rushing. So, like, I mean, it's funny how coming into the season, everybody's like, this Burrow injury, there's no way he's done. This wrist thing, it never happens to football players, and now it's like he's leading the best. He's playing best or second best, depending on what you believe in, with Jaden Daniels, best quarterback right now in the league with this Bengals team. So. Yeah, I mean, I want to get action from this game. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to play pass catchers from both sides. And like Saquon, mean, Saquon has, as we saw last week, he has more upside than just about anybody right now. So of course I want to play him. It's just going to be tricky to figure out how to make good lineups that make sense, with
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah. We should probably touch on the Higgins news here. So he got injured in practice. I'm not quite sure on the status of him. I guess he's still playing, but maybe a limited role. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see how that develops throughout the weekend. If Higgins misses, the Bengals are favorites right now. I don't think the line moves too much, and I still think they have enough offensive firepower through Jamar Chase to get stuff done. But it does limit your stacking options as far as Higgins is a lower priced receiver than Jamar and allows you to fit more into your lineup. So it is more restrictive in that sense, but it doesn't turn me off of the game environment entirely.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and look, but I believe the Bengals, even at the start of the year without Higgins healthy, were still a top 5 offensive PROE. So even without him, I mean, to me, it makes it almost more appealing because the volume here is going to be even more concentrated with him out. It's going to go through Chase against a bad Eagles secondary. I mean, to me, it makes me want to play that Burrow Chase stack even more, even at 7,000 for Burrow.
Yeah, and then you'll open up cheap receiving options like Yoshivas or even lower down the line. But yeah, so we'll get some value there if that opens up. Otherwise, if T Higgins plays but is limited, his ownership probably gets squished out a bit because there's so many other spots to go on the slate that people aren't really going to play somebody who's questionable or limited. So, But we saw how that worked out. I don't know how much of a liar the Bengals are compared to Sean McVay, but we kind of saw how
Friday
that
downgrade is pretty concerning. Usually, that's usually the
actually I have it pulled up here if we could look at it, but T Higgins limited, questionable. Downgrade's not always the best throughout the week, so
yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else I need to touch on in this game. Not really. I mean, Bengals throw the ball a ton. Eagles give up a ton of yards through the air. Eagles are now healthy and can move the ball and play a little bit better than they have been. So high total here, close spread. It's a really good spot for game stacking.
Yeah, Eagles about average EPA per play and success rate against both the run and the pass. So just like perfectly average, which is not something you're afraid of, obviously, if you're playing Burrow and Chase.
Yeah. I am kind of, hesitant on some of like the efficiency metrics for the Eagles offense, given their injuries, both like receiving core and like line stuff throughout the year. So, I mean, it's a spot I'm willing to get to for sure.
All right, what's next?
We have Bills at Seahawks. Bills go play the Seahawks.
Right?
What's up?
No DK Metcalf, right?
Yep, DK Metcalf out.
Yeah.
Which I ran a sim earlier, and I was getting a lot of Geno Smith and Josh Allen. But to me, this game is not as interesting without DK because I'm not sure that Seattle can really stretch the field. Like JSN and Lockett aren't really like downfield stretchers. I have a lot more confidence in the running game here through Kenneth Walker, who kind of has put himself in almost a workhorse role where he's catching passes out of the backfield, which is great for Geno, and also he's getting like a ton of the snap share in the backfield. So I kind of like that. And the Bills, the coverage they play, sort of extra defensive backer, no linebacker, taking that spot away from linebacker and putting it in defensive back, kind of opens up the middle of the field, and there's more room for Kenneth Walker to create yards before contact.
Yeah, Seahawks by far number 1 in PROE. So they've been throwing the ball a ton. They've had to throw the ball a ton as well, so that's worth noting. But they're still throwing the ball more than even expected in the games they've been trailing. I don't know. It's really tough for me with DK out. Like he's so important to that offense. I feel like his ability to stretch the field, his ability to make plays, like on these little. He's one of those few guys who just is just able to take like a slant, go to the house. He can break tackles because he's so big against these corners. But I mean, it's hard to get away from, especially like now. You would assume there's value here on JSN or Lockett. It's just hard to decide which one is going to be. Lockett is like really frustrating to figure out because he'll go silent for 8 weeks and then have a 3-touchdown game. He like does it every year.
Yeah,
I don't have a great feel for this game in general.
Yeah, and the pricing works out well for Geno stacks as far as like they're relatively like middle of the field for stacking options, but I still don't love it. I think, both sides of the ball here want to run. And it kind of puts me off Josh Allen too, because Josh Allen this year he doesn't have the goal line sort of like run it in role that he has in the past. Like they've been giving the ball to James Cook inside the 5 a lot more, and he's been taking a lot of that work away from him. So like, it takes me off the Bills, or not the Bills, but Josh Allen for that reason. And then also the Bills aren't really a team who's throwing the ball a ton in the third and fourth quarter when they have a huge lead either. They're happy to run the ball and burn time off the clock and just win games, the smart way, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I do wonder a little bit about James Cook's workload because Ray Davis has been so good spelling him. I wonder if we're not going to see the same kind of volume we saw like early in the year with him going forward. I don't know. This game to me, this is probably of the high total games. This is probably the one I'm least interested in of stacking. I mean, I might get absolutely burned by this, but I don't know. I just feel like this is going to be kind of a lower scoring affair. And there might be one or two pieces that are good, but it's really hard to just figure out how the Bills and the Seahawks both get there, in terms of how much is Mark Cuban going to be involved this week? Which receivers do you go after if you're going to play Josh Allen? I mean, how do you balance JSN versus Lockett? There's a lot of questions here. When other games, it feels a lot more clear about where the production is going to come from.
Yeah, I have a lot more interest in one-offs or mini correlations here. So the Bills are giving up like the most receptions to running backs in the league and like the second most receiving yards to running backs in the league. So like I like a mini correlation of Kenneth Walker and then plus somebody on the other side, whether it's like a cheap option like Kincaid or Shakir, maybe even Keon Coleman. He had a huge game last week, but it was on sort of limited targets, and I'm not really sure that you can count on that with Amari Cooper being there now, and they're already sort of spread out through the air. So now it's just harder to project. But like I've had to take one player from the game, I like Kenneth Walker a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's been awesome this year. Yeah, I mean that's like the one place that production is going to come from Seattle. And like the one thing about this game that makes it at least somewhat interesting is the ownership again is so low on all these guys.
Yeah,
you're going to be alone with the game stack if you do a game stack, and this is the game that pops off. I just struggle to see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to go to the Geno stack with some of the cheapy receivers and even Geno plus Kenneth Walker, which I don't hate a ton. But I think that against the Bills, they're going to scheme more towards the run and then doubly so because they don't have DK. So to me, it seems like a spot where both sides are going to run the ball a lot more, and it's going to play a little bit under and a bit slower.
Yeah. In the Sims I did earlier, I was getting 17% Geno and 2% Josh Allen in the slant on DK.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see Kenneth Walker because I didn't check him. I was getting 6% Kenneth Walker.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd have to like bump him up. Maybe it's definitely worth considering at least bumping up Kenneth Walker. But I don't know. I'd have to play around with the Sims a little bit more and see what kind of mixes I'm getting before I do that.
Yeah. Just as a whole, the game feels kind of weird to me. I don't have a clear read on anything other than that. I think Kenneth Walker is like the clear, obvious scheme for the Seahawks to go to against the bad Bills run defense.
Yeah. Agreed there.
Next up, we got a mix here. So let's start with the Colts and Texans. Colts at Texans. Anthony Richardson back. Boo.
Yep.
The Colts are so gross with Anthony Richardson under center, and I guess they're projected in. I thought there was some injury news not injury news, but like Downs and Pittman were dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, I mean this offense just really sucks to play when Richardson's in there. At least the pass catchers are. Is Jonathan Taylor TBD about coming back, or is he confirmed? Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he's back this week. So
yeah,
they get a lot of relief there, and I expect them to run the ball a lot more because one, they don't want Anthony Richardson running the ball, and two, he can't hit his receivers at all. I think he has like the lowest completion rate by a mile in the league right now through the games that he's actually completed.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
And both these teams are under expectation as far as pass rate goes. So, yeah, just not a very appealing game to me. This kind of feels like a divisional, especially this is the second time they've played this year. This feels like a divisional second game under, like a 20-19 kind of thing. I don't really trust this Texans offense right now in general without Nico Collins. I think he's just like, he was the best receiver in the NFL for a few weeks there. And without him, I mean, I think they're really hurting right now. They kind of got lucky to be as close as they were against Green Bay last week. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to end up under on some of these Texans field position players. Even Mixon, I get 24% there. I'll probably end up under that, I think.
24 is pretty hefty. I mean, I get it. Like the Colts have a putrid run defense, and they are massive home favorites. So I get the Mixon love. His role's really established in the offense. They love giving him the ball, especially in the red zone and the goal line. So I'll probably get to Mixon myself. But like you said, this game's gonna be pretty slow, kind of a slog on both sides.
Yeah, and I'd personally I'd rather get Kenneth Walker at 6 to 8% or whatever we haven't projected, versus 20+% for Joe Mixon. But I mean, Mixon's role's been awesome this year. Houston's committed to running the ball so far, so it's hard to argue with the chalk. It's just I think there are places we can go there at that price for running backs and DraftKings that make a lot of sense as well.
13-game slate, and we have a lot of options. So, although I mean, that being said, I'm not too worried about ownership this week. But yeah, 24% on Mixon. I get it. It makes sense to me, but there might be other spots we can get to with the field.
Yep, agreed there. And Colts pass catchers are completely out of play for me. Taylor, I could play some Jonathan Taylor, I guess, but I don't really love it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the Colts just kind of suck to talk about when Richardson's in there.
Yeah, with JT healthy, he averages 18 carries a game and 2.5 targets per game. Whether Anthony Richardson can hit him or not sure. Whether the Colts can even get within the red zone, who knows? But it's at least interesting. Like Jonathan Taylor at no ownership does feel pretty interesting. Like he's not a scrub. He's going to get like 80% of the opportunities in the backfield. So.
Yep. With you there. Just difficult to really, play a bunch.
Yeah. The next highest total is kind of a fun one to talk about. We have Cardinals Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa back under center.
Yeah, DraftKings didn't price up these pass catchers, even though they knew that Tua was going to be back this week, which is kind of stupid. Last week we were talking about on the stream how we were never going to get Tyreek at that price with that ownership ever again, and he let us down. And A-Chain similarly was off to a great start in the first half at no ownership, and actually he got steamed a little bit higher than I thought he was going to. I think in around like 8 or 9% on FanDuel. Yep. But that was a great spot last week, and I think against this Cardinals defense, it's also a great spot. Tua back. The only real question here is, do you want to play into the ownership with like the fragility of this Dolphins offense if Tua gets another bad hit again? And like last time, it wasn't even a bad hit that he got a concussion on. It was like a pretty routine looking collision.
Mm-hmm.
If he's out like this, none of these guys are worth their salaries anymore, as we saw last week. So that's the only real question for me. Otherwise, yeah, like I want to slam Tyreek Hill in my lineups and A-Chain and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do here because I've been kind of sprinkling these guys into lineups throughout the weeks as their prices have gone down. But now we get them in a pretty obvious spot with Tua back when the offense can function, but it comes with an ownership cost as well. I like A-Chan better than Tyreek, I think, this week as far as his matchup against the Cardinals defense. And I kind of like doing a Dolphins DST pair with Devon A-Chan because Cardinals, I don't know. They just can't figure it out. They can't throw the ball. They can't move the ball. I don't know what they're doing. I'm done playing Marvin Harrison for the year. That's my Cardinals rant.
I mean, you can't give up on him now. He's pretty amazing in college. I have plenty of faith in him figuring. Like, I don't even really think it's his fault. I think it's
it's a scheme issue for sure. But I mean, his price has come down bit by bit, but he's such a low floor, high ceiling guy, which I guess you like in tournaments. But
yeah, I mean, like at that ownership, pairing him with some of these higher owned Dolphins makes sense. I just wonder in general how much success the Cardinals gonna have moving the ball here. I think they're maybe a little overrated right now on offense. So I want to play the Miami side, but like I guess Marvin Harrison is really the only one I want to bring back with. I guess Trey McBride because his role's so good, but aside from that, I don't really want to play James Conner.
No, like Conner and McBride are fine, I think, but they just have like a high floor, low ceiling thing where their role is solidified and they don't really have spike weeks like they used to.
Yeah, and Dolphins are 7th right now in EPA per play allowed on defense, so they've been really good. Cardinals are 29th, so they've been really bad. So it just shows this matchup is really good for the Dolphins offense and really bad for Cardinals. Yeah, you could do that. Would you, FK? Were you saying that you would do Murray naked, or would you do like Murray and Marvin Harrison, and then Tyreek?
it is interesting because the Russian quarterbacks are obviously priced up. Kyler Murray priced down due to his performance so far this season and the general lack of offensive firepower on the Cardinals, but there's still mobility there, and I think the Dolphins can generate enough pressure to get him out of the pocket and scramble some. So, yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think that's pretty interesting. You could also do Kyler Murray by himself, and then because he's pretty cheap, and then go play expensive skill position players from a different game too, right? You just hope he gets there and rushing alone. It's possible.
Yeah, if I play like the Kyler Murray, like we talked about this before, where you play a stack, like you build a stack of the Dolphins, but then drop two and plug in a different quarterback or the opposing quarterback because he has rushing upside. I think that's kind of
Yeah,
interesting because Tyreek Hill can get there on like one long bomb. And if Devon Achane scores 2 touchdowns on the ground, that really limits the ceiling for Tua. And he's coming in at higher ownership than Kyler. And then you just hope that for $300 more, you get an ownership discount and hopefully more scoring from Kyler.
yeah, agreed.
Right on. Kind of lost where we were going, so we'll just go down the list, I guess. Ravens, Browns here. We get Jameis, the bomb thrower, under center for the Browns, which kind of makes me really interested in this game from a stacking
Yeah, I agree.
perspective.
Yeah, I think this is the rare game where both defenses and both offenses are all in play because Jameis can throw 5 picks. Lamar historically has struggled against the Browns, like man-heavy teams like that. He struggled against. So I mean, there's a chance here on the road for Baltimore. They look so good. Maybe they come out here and lay an egg that's in play. And the Browns defense is pretty cheap, I think. So I can see Browns. And yeah, Jameis for sure. Like he is a much better quarterback right now than Deshaun Watson was playing.
100% too, and they've got the new OC in town too, who when he was at the Bills was a pretty pass heavy coach. I kind of expect him to bring that game plan into Cleveland. So like a Jameis Winston like 40 pass attempt game is totally on the board here. Like their O line is crushed. The Browns have no offensive line at the moment, and obviously they're going to be playing from behind in this game. And they're so cheap too. Like if we talked about like cheap stacks and how like I can kind of see Geno because like Geno's cheaper and his pass catching options are cheaper. I think if you're going cheap, this is the spot to go. Like Jameis Winston, David Njoku, and Cedric Tillman, and then come back with like Derrick Henry and the Ravens defense, and you have like a really, really interesting stack.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Judy, although I got to say Judy, I don't want to play Judy. I'd rather just play one of the tight ends.
Yeah, like Njoku's
or Cedric Tillman or something.
Yeah, like Njoku to me is like the clear target leader on that team, and yeah, Cedric Tillman over Jerry Jeudy for me too, for sure. Yeah. He's cheaper. I think he's got a better role.
Yeah, even DFB DFS legend Elijah Moore, Ole Miss running rebel, who I thought was going to be awesome in the NFL and has not been awesome in the NFL. But I'm still holding out hope. I could see myself getting to some there.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested at the ownership on Lamar. I get the ceiling he has and all that production, but Zay Flowers dealing with an injury, he's still going to play, but not sure on his status exactly. And the Ravens are running the ball every chance they can. Like their offense is set up. They brought Derrick Henry in just for this specifically, and Derrick's been running the ball great. The O-line, D-line matchup here is great for him. The spread's great for him. I love playing the Jameis side of the passing and just coming back with Derrick Henry and or the Ravens defense.
Yeah, it turns out that all those fantasy analysts talking about how the big dog is hitting over 30. It turns out he is like ageless.
Yeah, I know. It's starting to get cold out too, so December's around the corner.
I know. As somebody that went all in on him in fantasy football, I've been very happy with how he's performed so far.
Yeah. One thing to note as far as like the Ravens side, if you're playing the pass catchers, Mark Andrews, and the split between Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely is continued trending in Likely's direction as far as routes run and snap rate. But then again, like Mark Andrews is really good red zone presence and good connection and history with Lamar. So not off the board, but I'd probably lean Likely in that spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's really, Ravens pass catchers in general have been really hard to figure out for years now. So I think I agree. I would take Likely, but I'd probably, that's like usually something like that where I don't have a great feel for an offense. I'll just kind of let the Sims do the work for me, and like whatever they end up getting, unless it's like a really egregious play,
Mhm.
I'll kind of let them do the work, you know.
Yeah, not a lot of interest for Nick Chubb for me here. Ravens' run defense has been pretty good, and they operate that pass funnel defense. I think they see one of the most pass attempts per game in the league. Just one due to game script, and then two, they just have a pass funnel defense. So it makes me like Jameis even more. Like he's going to throw the ball all the time this game.
Yeah, I wonder if you could. I guess there's 13 games. You don't need to do this, but if this were a smaller slate, you could do some Jameis, like on the early only slate, for example. You could do some Jameis Ravens defense lineups. I bet.
Oh yeah, I like that a bunch. He's going to take a ton of sacks. Wouldn't shock me at all if he threw a bunch of pick sixes, and then guess what? They have to throw even more.
Yep, but he's free, so
Yeah, and Njoku's such a stud. Honestly, like I'm going to play him a lot of weeks. Like he can. I think that the Browns with Jameis Winston and a new OC like have at least an opportunity to stay close enough in the game where they're not just punting and throwing in the towel.
yeah, agreed. Yeah, Joku, even at 14%, it's fine. His role right now is just really good. No other really good pass catchers for the Browns, so he's like the one premier weapon they have. So
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
mind 14%.
yeah, wide receiver one basically on a team that's going to be throwing the ball a ton, and he gets a vast majority of the target share.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a fun one where ownership's coming in that I don't quite understand, but
Yeah. I mean, the Panthers have been so terrible. Just in general, Broncos -10 against anyone, just like that just gives me the ick, you know?
yeah,
Really
I'm with
bad.
you. But Bryce Young back under center for the Panthers, traveling into Denver to play one of the best defenses in the league to date so far, and they're missing Deontay Johnson. There's nothing about this game or the Panthers that I like. I love smashing Javonte Williams in this spot, and I love smashing the Broncos defense here. Other than that, 14% for Bo Nix, I don't get it all. He's cheap, yeah. Does he get rushing yards? Yeah, but that's mostly a product of him scrambling out of the pocket, which I don't think he'll have to do at all against a Panthers defense that cannot generate pressure on anybody. And I think they just run the ball 100 times this game, and Javonte Williams is running all over the Panthers.
Yeah, Bo Nix feels like a cash game or like a super small field Thunderdome style play. Not for me. I'm playing larger tournaments, not playing him on either site. I'll probably come in under on Javonte, 24%. I mean, I get it, only 6K. But to me, like, and actually in the Sims I was running, I was getting a ton of him. But I would probably push that down to like half the field or whatever. There's the Broncos love to mess around with their backfield. You know, they love to play McLaughlin. I think Tyler Beatty's still out, but he was getting some run too. And like, how many times have we seen Javonte Williams kind of let us down in a spot like this? Like, this is an absolute smash spot for him. And so many times Sean Payton has done something weird. He's gotten hurt. And so I'm just not going to get burned again. And if he ends up scoring 40 fantasy points, then I hope my 10% of him is enough.
Yeah, even past McLaughlin with rookie Audric Esteem, like there's definitely roles where like Javonte does not get the lion's share of work, and Sean Payton does stupid stuff in the red zone, but I still don't think I can really get away from the spot where they're going to be the game script works really well. The Panthers are like dead last in DVOA for passing and rushing, I think, if not dead last and like second to last. Like it's hard for me to see at 6,000 how Javonte Williams kills me. Like he might miss out on a ceiling game due to some stupid stuff, but I don't think he kills me at 6K.
Yeah, probably not kills you, but in terms of like, okay, let me rephrase this. Probably doesn't kill you in something like the power sweep, right? Like a couple thousand entry contest.
Yeah.
It kills you in the slant or like a 20,000 plus entry line contest where like you got to be pretty close to optimal. I mean, not exactly close, but you got to have you can't just have any like 10s from a 6K player, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you there for sure. Large tournaments, the ownership's kind of gross, and like you said, like Broncos as a -500 favorite is pretty scary, but the Panthers are downright bad. They were even worse with Bryce Young. Now they don't have their star receiver, so this game is going to be gross in general. Like not a ton of love for me here. I'm definitely not playing a QB stack on either side, but one-offs for sure. I like the defense.
I'm tempted in like the super large field stuff, like on the FanDuel $3 or whatever. Even though that is like almost like a cash game style tournament, I'm almost tempted just to X out this game completely. and hope it doesn't kill me.
Yeah, I wouldn't fault you at all for that. I know what the listed entry size is, but like it normally fills up to what, like 100 and some thousand players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good spot there. I like that. This is an afternoon game, right? Chiefs at Raiders.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another fun one.
Yeah, another
41
fun
and a half
one.
total. Do
Gross game.
you have an opinion here on do you think that the Raiders famously last year beat the Chiefs, and it was like a big upset at the end of the year, and they were all celebrating after?
Mm-hmm.
You think there's a revenge thing here for the Chiefs? You think they're going to try to put it on them? Normally in these types of spots where they're big favorites, they always kind of sit on the ball and they're content just to win by 6 or whatever. But I wonder if
Yeah.
there's a little more motivation here for them to just put the foot down.
I'd say in the past, yeah, and maybe we do see a bit, like a resurgence in the Chiefs offense with DeAndre Hopkins coming in and sort of opening up the receiving routes for them. Like you said, the Chiefs this year have sort of been – they haven't been the Chiefs they were in the past with, like, they pass every down and they smash teams and they score. They're happy just barely winning the game and playing sort of like the smart way, I guess you would call it. But you kind of have to – like the Raiders this year are not the Raiders they were last year, not even close. And I think that Andy Reid's probably happy just running Kareem Hunt, giving him the ball a ton. Pepper targets to DeAndre, get him sort of use some experience in the offense. And I think this game goes like every other Chiefs game this year where they win by a few scores maybe, and it's a slow game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just think there is a chance that it's like this is a real – the Chiefs don't have many chances to make a statement, and this is like an obvious one where they could in division. Shout out Xavier Worthy at 6,200 here. I mean, I know he's not sexy right now, but he's got just as much upside as anybody else running these. I don't think his role is going to be changed at all by DeAndre Hopkins, and in fact, he might be helped out by the fact that there's another receiver that teams have to worry about. This Raiders defense, I don't have a lot of. I mean, they've been slightly above average this year, but I don't really respect them that much. And I think there's always a chance here that Worthy double dongs here, gets two deep passes. We've seen they have a willingness to give them like little rushing yards in the red zone or rushing attempts in the red zone. So I don't mind him at like 0 ownership here at 6,200.
Yeah, I agree with you for like the role of DeAndre Hopkins. They're not bringing him in to be like some young spry, route burner. He's like a 5 to 7 yard needed third down conversion. Throw it to him on the sidelines and he'll grab it.
More like the Rashee Rice role, and that's never what Xavier Worthy was going to do. So
yeah,
I think it probably takes away from Kelsey a little bit, takes away from Noah Gray and some of the other receivers. But I think Worthy's role is unchanged, and we're getting absolutely no ownership on him. And it's actually reflected in the standard deviation too. You can see that like a 9 standard deviation for him is pretty high.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Any interest on the Raiders side? I mean, Brock Bowers and Madison, I think, are really the only spots you can go to if you want to get there. But Bowers,
Jacoby Myers, maybe if I'm running a Mahomes Worthy, I could maybe see myself getting, I guess, Brock Bowers or Jacoby Myers. But yeah, nothing. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, kind of super interesting. Awesome. Yeah, the game environment just doesn't stand out to me a whole ton. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring, and the prices are just high enough on some of these Chiefs that like they're not super appealing. I don't see them working into a ton of lineups. Definitely not Mahomes stacks for me. I'll get to maybe some Hunt, maybe some Worthy, but not a stackable spot for me.
Agreed.
Okay. Bears Commanders. We got some fun stuff to talk about here as well.
Jaden Daniels, ETR. Is this ETR projections?
These are, yeah.
Okay, so I was still projecting Jaden Daniels in on our projections. It seems like it's 50-50. We won't know until Sunday. Obviously, Mariota is a pretty interesting play at 5,300 if he's out. But this Bears defense has been pretty good, so I don't know. I don't really see this being a shootout or anything. Like even if Jaden Daniels was playing, I don't know. What do you think?
No, so both of these teams have a really good pass defense and a really terrible run defense. And DeAndre Swift's gotten a lot more work in the backfield from the Bears. They kind of solidified him, I guess. He's the back that they're trusting at the moment. So I expect like just the DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson show for this one, especially if Jaden Daniels is out.
Yeah, we saw your guy Zach Ertz come through for you last week with Mariota playing. I wonder if he gets a little target bump here if Jaden Daniels is still out.
Yeah, I do expect like more intermediate stuff from Mariota if Daniels is out. So it kind of puts me a little bit less interested in Terry McLaurin. But kind of interested to see the split between Eckler and Robinson in this game as far as running backs go.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Bears second right now in EPA per play on defense. They've been very, very good, especially against the pass. I think they're number 1 against the pass.
Yeah.
And the Commanders have been pretty bad, 25th. They've just been kind of bad at both, depending on run and pass. So I don't know. I feel like Chicago's favored for a reason. If Mariota's in, I don't know. I just respect this Bears defense too much, I think, to get too much action from this game.
Yeah, for me, it's more running back and one-off oriented than stacks here. Something to be said, I guess, a bit about Caleb Williams and rushing upside and stuff like that, but I don't think that they're really going to need to get there in this game.
I'm with you there.
I guess one thing to notice, the Commanders do have like one of the highest blitz rates in the league, so if they can get pressure on Caleb Williams, you might be able to see like some rushing upside there, but again, I don't have a huge lean there, and I'm probably more inclined to play somebody like DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe Keenan Allen. Maybe he could finally have a game against a blitz heavy team on underneath passes, but I don't know. It's just this game in general. I'm just not really in love with it.
Yeah, Keenan Allen on the Bears hasn't been, what people hoped, and I don't really foresee that changing unless like something drastic happens.
Yeah, I do think he's just like a receiver you have to play with for a while and get really comfortable with before unlock him. So maybe I think over time towards the end of the year, but until then, yeah.
For me, this is more slower game, run the ball on both sides. I could see arguments for the DSTs here, more so Bears than the Commanders, but
yeah. I don't know.
I
think there's
really
better
cheap.
spots. Yeah, and there's getting ownership
too. Pretty good price. Yeah, that's fair.
That ownership will almost definitely drop if Jaden Daniels plays, but I don't know. Low total games like this aren't necessarily where I look to play defenses.
It's
higher total. You almost want higher totals because it implies that the defense can get turnovers.
Yeah, again, you want to play defenses against quarterbacks that pass the ball, defenses that get pressure on the quarterback, all that. Like, it doesn't really matter what the total in a game is.
Yeah.
Another fun injury spot here. We got Falcons Bucks, Falcons at the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield missing just about everybody on their offense. Brutal injury to Chris Godwin. Terrible to see.
Brutal.
Mike Evans is still old and his hamstring is never healthy. Kind of a tough break for Baker, honestly. I had a lot of fun playing Baker stacks because he was cooking with that offense. It was really great to see.
Yeah, I like getting 2 Baker stacks here at 0 ownership or 1 ownership. I don't know how much I want to play Otton with him, but Otton is cheap. He's surely going to have a bigger role now with Edmonds and Godwin out. But I'm not like completely giving up on these Tampa receivers. Sterling Shepard's problem has always just been that he can't stay healthy, and he's healthy right now. Jalen McMillan was he's getting ownership, but he was a first. When was he drafted? Was he a first round pick? I don't remember if it was the first, second round, or maybe even the third round.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was pretty productive at Washington. He was. I respect his talent enough to think that he can have a big game here, and I just don't think this Falcons defense is any good. They can't get pressure on the quarterback, I think Baker's been playing the best quarterback he's been playing all year long. Best quarterback he's played his career, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I like stacking this Tampa offense, even at ownership.
Yeah, the problem for me is like outside of Otton, none of these receivers have really established a role, and we don't know what their role is going to be. We saw McMillan get a lot of first looks last week, but now that they have time to prepare, I think it's going to be a bit different. I'm not sure. Like between McMillan, Palmer, Shepard, it's hard to predict. And I think I would just play the ownership game. Like McMillan coming at 22, and then you've got Shepard at 9, Palmer at 13. I mean, it seems like people are trying to get here. And I don't even know if like Todd Bowles wants to throw the ball with no Godwin and Evans. They might just switch to a run heavy approach and just give a ton of looks to Rashad White and Bucky Irving.
Yeah, that's also in play for sure. And they have the 3 running backs really with Tucker too. You have that
huge
game
with Tucker.
But yeah, if I'm gonna play these receivers, I'd rather do it with Baker than like playing 23% on Jalen McMillan as a one-off. And
Oh
same with
yeah,
K-Dot
I
at
agree with you there.
35%.
Yep.
And I do think captain sacks are in play here. This Bucks defense is also beat up. And we've seen this Falcons offense be able to move the ball against this Tampa defense too. Wasn't it like 2 weeks ago on Thursday night? Wasn't that who they played? They scored like 40 points.
Yeah, it was,
Like crazy game.
Yeah, one of the
So,
best Kirk Cousins performances.
Yeah. So I like getting to both of these offenses, and you have a little bit of ownership discounts here on some of these Falcons skill position players. Drake London
I like
last week
that
was
too.
like 40% owned, and now he's 15% owned. So
yeah, Bucks defense too, better against the run than the pass, so that might open more avenues for Kirk to pass the ball. And Bijan and is already splitting the backfield, so they've been doing so much stupid shit in the red zone where like Bijan plays 20 to 20, and then Tyler Algier comes in and just vultures all the touchdowns, and it's really frustrating to figure that out. And now they face a Bucks defense that typically is better at limiting the run than they are the pass.
Yeah, I'm the interest I have is in the passing game for Atlanta. And to be clear, it's Bijan can get there as a receiver. So
yes,
he's definitely not out of play just because of this weird timeshare crap he has. But both these defenses have been pretty bad, 22nd and 23rd against EPA per play. So I like this game. I like getting a lot of this game.
Yeah, and if you're stacking it, I think it's a spot where you have to assume that the Bucks stay in the game and that they aren't just running the ball the whole time. So I think if you're playing those Falcon stacks, are you forcing a bring back from the other side?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
There's just too much value, you know. And if a Falcon stack gets there, somebody on this Buccaneers offense has to score. Like I don't think they're going to see a 40-0 Falcons win here. I think their defense isn't good enough to do that. And so I think somebody on that Tampa, who I don't know, but I think somebody on Tampa is going to end up being in a winning Falcon stack.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Another yucky spot, really fun one. Jets Patriots in New England. Well, I guess they both are at the Patriots. I mean, there's not a lot to touch on here. I guess like Rodgers stacks maybe like Rodgers plus Brees plus Wilson overstack, but there's spread sucks, total sucks. These players suck.
Well, the thing is, like the Jets players don't suck. At least, I mean, name wise, right? Brees and Garrett Wilson, Devontae.
There's a problem in New York, and they can't figure out who it is. Apparently,
yeah,
it wasn't Salah, I guess, because they're still losing games, you know.
Yeah, see that gif of Aaron Rodgers after he got hit, and his helmet's like halfway up his head, and he just has this blank stare.
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots defense isn't good, so I do like this spot here for like maybe Wilson or Brees as one-offs. The workload's really great for both of them.
Yeah, Brees Gigachok is worth mentioning. I mean, he looked really good. When was that? He looked really good their last game that I can't remember. Oh, against the Steelers.
Steelers, yeah.
Hold on, I'm setting up my NBA real quick. So Brees Gigachok. I mean, last time he was chalk like this, I ended up playing way too much. His role is too good. They haven't really been playing Braylon Allen. They fell in love with Braylon Allen. Now he's out of favor with them. So, you know, I haven't projected to 40% on DraftKings. That might be a little too high. I'd probably be around the field. I would look to get on Brees. I don't want to be over the field. I don't feel that great about his role or this game.
No, and even if the Patriots defense is bad, like they are, it's still a low total game where they don't really have to press the issue at all. Like the Jets defense is going to be able to shut down the Patriots, I think, pretty easily, and it might just be a scenario where there's just not a lot of points scored in general.
Yeah, it's just an ugly game. Although, I mean, to be fair, this Patriots offense, we could see a little bit with Drake May. We might see them be a little. Good point by everybody. Got to get this win. New OC likes Brees Hall. That's fair. There is a case to be made here that there's a lot of what do you want to say? This Patriots offense will be a lot more explosive with Drake May. They also might turn the ball over a lot more with Drake May, and so the Jets defense is more viable. But I just don't know who to target on this Patriots offense, even if I think they might be a little spicier than we think with Drake May quarterback.
It's basically like Hunter Henry, Demario Douglas, and like a bit of pass game work for Ramondre, but outside of that, there's like really nobody you can go to. I wouldn't have any confidence. I don't really have much confidence in Douglas or Henry, but if you wanted to play that side of the ball, those are the two guys I'd like the most.
Yeah, Jalen Polk has been so disappointing for me so far. So I don't really want to go there. I don't know. Just a weird game, I guess, in general.
Yeah, Henry's not a bad shout too. At like really cheap and not great ownership, but he gets a ton of targets in the offense, and they're going to be throwing the ball a ton like they have been the past 8 weeks of football. So
you would think so.
Yeah. There's so many games to get through. Here's a fun one.
Yeah. Well, fun's relative.
Yeah,
Lions huge favorites here against the Titans, who've been terrible. I don't expect the Titans offense to all of a sudden look a lot better than they have. So I think this is Lions onslaught or Goff, one of the running back, probably Goff, Gibbs, and a receiver, that kind of stack.
Just play both the running backs and nobody else from the Lions.
You could do that too, yeah.
I've done that on slates, and it's really not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Rudolph under center for the Titans, not going to do anything for them. The Titans have just kind of laid down and died this year.
Yeah, the thing about Mason Rudolph is he's just like there's no variance with him, like he's not like Will Levis, as stupid as some of his turnovers were and as backbreaking as like some of his mistakes were. At least he's willing to take deep shots and create high variance plays for the offense.
Yeah, like he had spike games last year.
Yeah, and Mason Rudolph is just like check down 8-yard out over and over, and it's like there's no variance there for both the Lions defense and for the Titans offense. So I just don't want to play anybody from the Titans side, and if I get to Lions one-offs, that's fine, or Lions like little mini sack, that's fine.
Lions D at 2.4% against the Titans O-line. That's like a glorified sieve. I like that a lot. That sounds really interesting to me.
Yeah, but no Aiden Hutchinson hurts that a little bit. Not as good pass rush. But yeah, I mean, there's a case to be made for sure for them. Like, I don't expect the Titans to be able to move the ball a lot against that defense.
Yeah, I guess one thing to note too is Jameson Williams out for 2 weeks for PEDs, quote unquote. I think he was taking the Ocho Cinco pills.
He was on the Blue Diamonds.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Opens
what
up.
What for? I don't know, but
yeah. It's good for blood flow, right?
Yeah, right.
It opens up the door, I guess, for like Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond to play more snaps, but I guess they're coming in with some ownership. I just don't think that the Lions are really going to have to throw the ball at all this game. They're going to run a ton, and if they are throwing, it's more, I think, going to be like Laporta stuff, midfield stuff.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Amon-Ra, I don't really like playing in the games when the Lions are big favorites. They're committed to the run. He's better, in my opinion, in spots where they need to throw the ball to stay in the game, like last week.
Yep.
So I'm not really interested there. I think there's better receiver plays in the slate, especially at that price. Get Montgomery at 3% owned, 6,400 is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, Jameson out, boost to Laporta. I tend to agree. Yeah, to an extent. For me, this game is just the running backs and the defense. Maybe a little Laporta love, but I'm not stacking anything this game. If Monty's fully healthy, I do like him over Gibbs in this spot. I'll probably just play ownership there, if not play both.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like 3 versus 9%, so a bit of leverage if you want to go Monty.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all there.
Goff, Gibbs, Laporta would be an interesting stack. Yeah, I mean, the Lions could just put the hammer down and score 30 in the first half and then take the rest of the game off. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, definitely within the realm of possibility here. I don't think this going to be a very competitive game.
No. Speaking of, we've got Saints Chargers.
Well, I mean, I think this game will be competitive. I think somewhat competitive.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with this game at all. Dobbins as mega chalk on Monday night let everybody down.
Yep.
Now he's chalk again on a big slate. Even at that price, it's pretty tough for me to be like, yeah, I want to jam in J.K. Dobbins, but his role's good. Yeah,
the Chargers, I had their injury report pulled up. They are dealing with an absolute litany of injuries. Let me refresh it here, but Disley questionable, Davis doubtful, Chart questionable, Quentin Johnson doubtful, Hurst questionable, McConkey questionable. So like the whole receiving core here is banged up, questionable, doubtful. Who knows what's going on? Harbaugh already likes to run the ball a ton. Now they're massive favorites. Playing at home, this just feels like a spot where either you play J.K. Dobbins or that's about it.
Yep. I don't have much interest in the skill position players from the Chargers. I don't really see I know that that Rattler's first game there was kind of a shootout because he was turning the ball over, but I don't really see that. I don't see that scenario from the Chargers here. I think you can play Chargers defense with Dobbins. That's fine, but yeah, this is just another ugly game.
Yeah, I mean the Saints get Olave back and they get Taysom Hill back, so I mean maybe interesting spot there, but again, it's not. This game is just not a great spot to be for game stacking or a game overstack environment.
Yeah, I am in full agreement with you.
Well, it only took us an hour, but we got through the 13 games. I'm gonna fire up a sim here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's.
Oh wait, there's one more on FanDuel.
Ooh, yeah. Let me pop that open. I'm not gonna have any projections loaded for it, but we can talk about it.
I think you'll have my projections for it.
Oh, okay, cool. We got the Sunday night nightcap for the FanDuel slate. And, oh, there it is. We got the putrid Dallas Cowboys and the not great 49ers this season.
Yeah, not quite an eliminator match, but pretty close. This is a super important game for both of these teams. They can't afford to fall behind anymore. I know the NFC West hasn't been good. It has been that great anyway, and the Seahawks are underdogs at home, but still, like the Niners pretty much need to start winning games like ASAP. So
and they'll be without Ayuk, but plus Ricky Pearsall here. Any opinions on him?
I mean, it's too soon to say. Like he barely played in preseason. I don't think he played in preseason at all, did he? I think he got shot before he could play. So I mean, he was really good at Florida. He was a super productive. He is a great fit for the offense. I think it's just 5,200 is it's not an easy one to click on here.
No, I agree with you. I do think that it's like an interesting upside spot, given the ownership on FanDuel. If you need like a really late pivot, but like week in week out, I want Dallas to play good. I mean, 9,100 for CeeDee Lamb is kind of bonkers given the production that the offense has had this year, the lack thereof, I should say. But I've lost a lot of money on Dak stacks this year, and it's not somewhere that I really want to get back to with any sort of urgency.
Yeah, I actually like this game a lot on FanDuel. I do think that there's Juwan Jennings is still out, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this running while we chat about the game.
Oh, here come the dogs.
We'll slant.
Yeah, I think the Niners offense has been pretty good. Not as good as they were last year in terms of EPA per play, but Purdy I think has improved. He looked terrible last week, but they still left a ton of points on the board against Kansas City. Micah Parsons is still out, I believe. I don't really see this Dallas defense stopping San Francisco.
No, they just got thrashed by the Lions too for a ton of points, and the Niners offense is capable of putting points on the board. They didn't show it to us last week, but I still think they have enough gas in the tank to get it done against a Dallas defense that hasn't really been able to stop anybody this year.
Yeah, and if Debo seems like he's going to play, he had pneumonia, which is kind of crazy to be playing the same week he had. It's possible for pneumonia, but it seems like if he's out for some reason still, then Pearsall, Conley, I guess, Jacob Cowing even for super cheap value are all then become super interesting plays. And of course, Kittle. This is a primetime game. Kittle in primetime has just been an absolute print fest for years now. So, yeah. I mean, I don't mind going back to him against these Dallas linebackers. They don't scare me at all. I want to play this game on FanDuel, especially.
I like the Kittle shot at tight end on FanDuel where there's going to be mega chalk on Kincaid.
Yeah.
I think that makes a ton of sense.
I'm assuming, right? I haven't looked at the full tight end ownership, but yeah, I think.
Yeah. More so Kincaid for his pricing, but yeah, I think the pay up spots here at tight end on these slates are going to be potentially a spot where you can separate yourself. While that runs, do we want to give a quick under 10% shout for each position?
Yeah, let's do it.
DraftKings, boom, boom. Sort by ownership so we can kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
Quarterback, I mean, this is ridiculous with Bo Nix at 14. I hate it. I hate it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I'll go with what's the most fun, I think. Let's go with the Joe Burrow again. I think I pick Burrow like every week, but I'm gonna go right back to that Bengals passing offense. I don't think Eagles defense is any good, and I like going right back there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Jameis Winston stack of the week. I think he's gonna throw the ball a ton, and he's cheap enough to allow you to pay up and get like the whole Brown stack is cheap enough where you can pay it for Derrick Henry and like another stud in your lineup and still feel pretty comfortable about it. So I like getting to him at lower ownership.
Yep, I agree. That's a fun one and a good way to get some of these high priced skill position players in your lineup.
Yeah, we do have some condensed chalk here at running back with Breece Hall, Javonte, Mixon, and Dobbins up top. Scrolling down a bit, we get to the rest of our field under 10%. Anybody standing out to you?
Kenneth Walker is interesting under 10. I don't know if he'd be my pick, but that's an interesting look. What about Tank Bigsby at 1% ownership against this Packers defense? I don't mind that. I think that game might go over. It's the highest total on the board. His role's pretty good right now with no ETN.
Yeah, I'm not sure on ETN status this week, but Tank Bigsby looked fine, serviceable, and in a game where they're playing from behind, he's going to get some. Work.
I wouldn't ruled out. I could do a dog walking bets.
That'd be sick. We're gonna have to pay Jazz some royalties for that, I guess.
Yeah, then they'll start the AceMind meme coin.
Yeah.
Give us 2% supply, and then we'll dump it. And I didn't know we were doing, and then we'll buy back into the basement.
I like the big dog at 6% against the Browns defense. Yeah. Massive favorites. They run the ball 30, 40 times a game, and this is gonna be no different. I love Henry here.
Yep, I like that. I like that shout.
Tight end, we've got Otten chalk on DK, where he's cheap and going to be the first look in many throws on that offense. And behind him is Will Dissly, honestly kind of shocking to me. And then Njoku, Ingram, and Bauer rounding out the tens.
Will Dissly chalk.
You're telling me people want to take Dissly over Njoku?
I guess so. So here I would say this is risky. Kyle Pitts, 4,400. No ownership here. I like this. I don't think the Bucs pass defense is going to be able to stop the captain. I kind of like that. I like the Hunter Henry shout too. That got to get this Wednesday earlier.
Mm-hmm. I'll go even more gross. I'm going to go with Johnny Smith against
actually
Cardinals.
I like that too.
Yeah, Tua back.
Yeah, and they made a point last week to get him more involved in the offense. So I don't mind that. On FanDuel, I'd also say Kittle would be my pick under 10% ownership.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even at that price.
Receivers, we've got some Miami chalk up top, some Tampa Bay and Atlanta chalk up top. We get down to our list starting with Sterling Shepard as our under 10.
Yeah, a lot of interesting. I'll go ahead and say Xavier Rhodey here. I talked about that earlier. 0.5% on these projections. Obviously the floor is very low with him, but I like the idea here of getting him at no ownership with another a weapon in the offense that'll create even less attention on him against this bad Raiders team. I like that.
Right on. I'm gonna go with AJ Brown against a team that cannot generate pressure on the quarterback. I think with more time in the pocket, and it's going to give Jalen Hurts more opportunity to get AJ the ball. Expect a lot of scoring in that environment. We both like it for stacking. Under 10% there, and he's got a massive ceiling. That's
our unanimous choice, right, for games to stack?
Yeah, if I'm stacking a game, it's going to be the Eagles-Bengals.
Yeah, I'd probably go that 1-1, and then I'd probably go Falcons-Bucks 2.
Okay.
And then I don't know what I'd do for 3. Maybe Packers-Jags. Maybe.
Yeah, a lot of the games get close there. I like Packers-Jags a lot for scoring opportunities. Defenses we can look at, but I mean, they are what they are. Just kind of look at the highest owned. We got Ravens, Bears, Chargers, Jets, all coming with ownership, which makes sense.
All of them, all of them make sense to me. I don't really.
Lions at 2%. I thought was interesting. I still kind of think they are. And I think Dolphins at 1%. Two
Both of those
really
are
good
good.
options.
Those are probably good ones. Yeah, I like those.
Yeah.
Maybe Niners on FanDuel. I don't know what their ownership is, but I'm assuming it's going to be low. But we know the Cowboys are going to throw the ball a lot. Last year in the same kind of spot, they dominated the Cowboys. I think they gave up like 3 points. That game was over at halftime. Chance here that anything happens if the Cowboys fall behind, have to throw the ball a lot, creates a lot of turnover opportunities for the Niners. So maybe them on FanDuel, but I like the two you mentioned.
Yeah, Niners on FanDuel is interesting. I do like that shout. Okay. Should be wrapping up here after the fifth field. Hopefully.
Yeah.
If not, I do have a results page up here from earlier in the day that we can look at. But we'll give this a second here to run. There it goes. I knew it would do it.
It's just thinking.
I
It's got to do a bunch of looping. The problem is when we do these field generations, not to get too far into the weeds, but it's got to do some creative looping to kind of aggregate all the different simulations we ran together. So that's why it takes a little bit there.
Yeah. So let's look at our 150 set and see how exposure shakeout just raw out of the sim, no adjustments. At QB, we're ending up with a ton of Knicks, ton of Geno Smith, Herbert, Mariota, Rodgers. I mean, what the Sims are going to need a bit of massaging this week.
Yeah, I would be going about 0% maybe on bone. I mean, I'd probably do like 5%, but I would not be getting 27% bone Knicks. I don't care what the Sims say.
No,
I know more than you, machine.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, who's popping up if we start getting rid of, like, Richardson, Lawrence, Rudolph. Yeah. Let's just see how that goes and who comes in the 150. Go back to our QB exposures. A lot of Mariota, Burrow, Winston, Hurts, Lamar, Tua, Stroud.
I like that outside of Mariota, really. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not going to play Mariota against the Bears defense.
No.
But other ones look like great to me, right? That's probably maybe not the order, but that's the mix of quarterbacks I'd want. On FanDuel, I'd include Purdy and Dak probably.
Yeah. This looks more palatable to me. Running backs, we get Breece Hall, Javonte, Achane, Monty. I like that Monty's up here over Jimmy.
Yeah, it's good. What kind of, if you filter to him, what kind of lineups is he popping in? Are those stacks or is he just on his own?
No, a lot of one-offs, which I like.
I like that a lot.
Yep.
How about the Sims? It seems like they know what they're doing.
Derrick Henry too. Is he popping up? I like that. I like the correlation of him popping up with Lamar and Jameis. I think that makes a ton of sense. Tight end, we have got, let me scroll all the way back up. Ton of Will Dissly love, which I do not.
I don't know if I'd X him out completely, but yeah, I don't want to get 30+%.
No. There we go. Njoku, Otten.
Okay.
Ingram, Kelsey. Yeah, I like this. This is a good spread. Not a lot of Hunter Henry, but we could bump him up.
Mm-hmm.
Bauer's not popping a ton. He might need a bit of massaging as well.
Yeah, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah,
that's seems like there's some Chiefs DST in here, so that's probably part of the reason.
Wide receivers, I like this. I like Cedric Tillman up top. I think that makes a ton of sense with how much Jameis we're getting. Tyreek Hill. I'm not sure how much Ladd McConkey I'd get to.
Yeah, I don't know why the Chargers must be cheap. I'm guessing is that why we keep getting to these?
Yeah, they're cheap. Jake Bobo is interesting for the Seahawks. Obviously filling in a bigger role now, but they have kind of leaned on him in the past, I think, from the showdowns I watched them. Yeah,
Gino's not afraid to target him. It's just not exciting, but he's cheap.
McMillan, we got Tank in there. I did see some CJ Stroud stuff sneak in there, so I mean that maybe I don't hate it. Although I probably want to play that as more of a
stacks.
Yeah. Judy Palmer, et cetera, et cetera. DSTs, let's see how that shook out. Chargers, Bears, Broncos, Falcons, Jets, Ravens.
That seems okay to
Dolphins. Or Lions.
Yeah.
So
I want to
teams I'd probably be looking to boost a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't go crazy with it, but yeah, I'd probably boost those two.
Yeah. Well, that is week 8, folks. Before you head out of here, give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed it. head over to AceMind.io. We're running promo code TIPOFF. It's for the NBA season, but you can use it for any sport if you'd like. That gives you 25% off your first month here. Access to the tools, access to our Discord, all the fun stuff. So be sure to head over there, join our Discord. Any closing thoughts from you, Blaine?
I did a stream earlier today, about a 90-minute stream, kind of showing how you can use AI or LLMs like ChatGPT to kind of help automate some of the stuff that we do for DFS. So you might want to check that out. Went through like how to use the chat, like the actual default chat bots, go into ChatGPT, for example, how it can make Excel formulas for you, and then kind of showed how you can also use the API, do some nice little like Slate summaries of like different articles and stuff. So might be worth checking out if you're interested.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good shout there. Good luck, you guys, this week. I'm hoping to take down the power sweep again. We'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
Why stop there?
Yeah. So
You
hope
got to
to see you
max
guys
out
up there.
the 555 milli.
Ooh, maybe. All right. Best of luck in your contest, guys. Enjoy the weekend.
And see you.